gorilla stomping in a zoo. Check the vocals, animals gather right.
Hey everybody, and welcome back for another video. So this video is resuming where a previous one left off. In the previous video where I moved the trellising for the raised garden beds, I had mentioned about getting our asparagus planted, but I unfortunately ran out of time that day. Yesterday it was rainy, windy. It was a good day for the indoor repotting that we did and potting up our seedlings. But again, I never got out at the asparagus. So, you know what? It's time to do the asparagus. I got these crowns, they're ready to go in the ground, and I don't want to sit on them too long to the point where maybe they would go bad or die. I don't really know. But today is a sunny day, but you know what? The wind is still here. I would love to open a video for you guys where I do the intro outdoors at the very least. But this wind is relentless, it just continues on, and we're just going to have to work within Mother Nature's schedule. So here I am again, just introducing what we're going to be doing today, and that is planting the asparagus. Alright, so what you're going to see us do is put some trenches down on the strawberry bed, which is also the asparagus bed. And the reason we've combined strawberries and asparagus is because strawberries have a shallow root depth while a asparagus has a deep root depth. So as a result of that, they end up being good companion plants, all right, because they don't interfere with each other's root systems. So we are going to be digging, 4 to 6 inch trenches, and then I'll be doing, like, if you were to look down the trench a long way, it'd almost look like a W, okay, with a little hump in the middle. But the overall trench is deep, okay, with a little hump. And what that hump is going to be is a line of compost. And then you pretty much take your crown, spread out the tendrils, I'll say, along the banks of that hump, and then the crown sits at the top. So that's what you're going to be seeing in today's video, is removing the mulch, getting those trenches dug, composting the trench, throw a bit of bone meal in there for good measure, and then be splaying out the crowns on top of the middle of the W, per se. So hopefully that gives you an idea of what we're going to be doing. I got my cart loaded up with a shovel, rake, little trowel, and the crowns, and measuring tape. That's pretty much going to be the primary tools, I think, this go around. And other than that, I got a radio for some music, if I can hear it over the wind, and some bone meal and stuff. So anyways, that's your intro. Sorry it couldn't be outside. The wind has just been relentless, and my camera equipment is just not equipped for filtering out this kind of wind noise. It just wouldn't work. So bear with us. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the videos anyways. I'm trying my best to get you guys some good angles and some tolerable music over that for the montages and time lapses. And I appreciate you all for sticking around and coming back to watch our videos during this trying, windy time. So we'll see you outside. Let's get those asparagus in the ground. Alright, so what we're doing here, we're just removing the top layer of mulch that we applied last year. And we're mainly concentrating between the rows of strawberry plants, because we're going to be planting the asparagus in these trenches right here. So that's 2 areas that we're removing mulch from. The rest of it can pretty much stay, and we're going to be adding fresh mulch onto those ones. Alright everybody, so now that we got the mulch removed from the top layer of the bed, we're going to start digging those trenches that I described earlier now. So we'll start with our pretty much dig a big V, and then we'll fill in a compost line to make the W. Alright, so you'll see as we go. I'll bring you in close and let you see what we're doing. So what we're getting done here now, we're just adding some bone meal to the trench that we just dug, and compost will go on top of that. Perfect. Alright, so now I'll go and I'll get a bag of cow manure, some compost, cow compost, and we'll put that in and make that hump of the W and see how well we do with that. Alright, so now we're just making the hump of the W, okay? Pushing down a little bit, just compacting it. Just making a little mound down the middle of the trench. Now we're going to check our depth, and I want to see about 4 inches to the surface. And that's looking good. So now let's get our asparagus crowns, splay them out, and put them over the humps here. Alright, so here we have our asparagus crowns. So you're going to be taking out a crown, if I can get one here. They're a bit knotted up. Alright, so here's an asparagus crown. So we're going to be spreading out the roots. So you pretty much got 2 sides, almost like a little spider with spider legs. Half of the legs will go on one side of the hump, half of the legs will go on the other side of the hump. And the crown will be centered where you choose to have it centered. we're choosing to offset it with our strawberries. So in between 2 strawberries, we'll have the asparagus lined up. Alright, so now that we got our asparagus crowns in place, I'm going to use the dirt that I shoveled out earlier to cover these even with the surface, and then we'll be able to mulch this side, but we'll do that after we do our second trench. Okay, so first thing right now, get these buried in, and we'll go and repeat the process. Alright, so our asparagus is now planted in the ground. All is well. Alright, so now I'm going to apply a bag of mulch. Might not be a full bag of mulch because a lot of the mulch from last year is still there and holding up just fine. So hopefully probably only a half bag or so to make up for what's broken down or been blown away or buried over the past year. So I'll get that applied right now. And on top of that, I was going to put a bag of compost into the next bed as well, just to enrich that a little bit and top that up as well. So we'll do that, and then I need to get some water onto these asparagus and get them growing. So let's keep working at it. Not too much longer left. This should only be a few minutes and we'll be clued up here. Alright, so I got the bed of strawberries and asparagus heavily mulched now, so that should be a good protection for them and to keep the weeds away and retain moisture. All the good effects of mulch. So anyways, this bed is done. I'm going to move over and put in a bag of cow manure compost into the second bed just to enrich that. And all in all, that should be just about it for today, other than some watering in this bed. Alright, so let's get that bag of manure in, get the watering, and this will be done. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, we're back in the shed. Obviously that means we're done for the day. But what a day it was. It was great to get those asparagus crowns into the raised garden bed. And one thing I figured out when we were putting them in, remember previously I had been saying I wasn't sure of the shelf life of these crowns, how long they could be out of the ground, etc. What would exactly warm them up or wake them up, I should say. Anyways, a lot of the crowns, probably even up to half of them, were starting to put out some new fresh buds, I want to call them. Whether or not they were going to be spears or not, that's beyond my knowledge right now. But there was definitely green buds coming out of the crowns, so I think they were ready to go into the ground as fast as possible. So thankfully that is done. We ended up putting, I believe, 7 in each row, so that's 14 asparagus plants. And as far as I've heard, that's going to be a lot of asparagus. I've heard of pretty much 2 to 3 plants feeding a whole family for the amount that they could put out. But I'm hoping that the soil is rich enough and we're going to be enriching it enough that they'll have no trouble staying alive over the years and continuing to produce, and they'll produce a lot, hopefully. So if anyone was wondering, that was the Millennium breed of asparagus from Ontario, and it was Sandy Shore Farms is where we got those, and that was in Ontario, like I said. So that's done. Now, little side note, I ordered 30 crowns. Obviously I used 14 in the raised bed, so that left me with 16, sorry. So what I did was I planted a crown at every space of my fence down back there. So if you got it, every post right in the middle, I put a crown. So I may have some wild, we'll call it wild, some wild asparagus growing along our fence line. And that's kind of a long-term goal of ours anyways, is to kind of fill that fence line area up, whether it's with berry bushes or asparagus now it's going to be, and whatever else comes along that we want to kind of dress up that fence line with, that's where the kind of stuff's going to go. Anyways, lots of tangents. Alright, yeah, so it's all watered in, everything is watered, mulched. I put a deep mulching on it. That should not keep the asparagus from breaking ground and growing out. That should be fine. It's a lighter mulch and it's just moist now, right? So other than that, you saw me water everything in. Definitely had to get a bit of good watering. I started off with the watering can and I just said, you know what, I'm just going to pick up the 5-gallon bucket and dump the water in there and get the job done faster so that I can clue up here, because my work for today is done after digging 14-15 holes along the fence line, doing everything with the raised bed. And everything that was done previous in the day to me even beginning this job, I'm beat. I'm ready to go in for some R&R again and relax, watch some videos and end off the evening. So once again, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate your time as always. If you haven't already, there is that subscribe button that's down below that would really support us. If you like, and speaking of like, you can like this video. Alright, I'm sorry, I'm just being silly with you now. Anyways, until our next video, hope you're happy, hope you're healthy, take care of each other, and peace out.